Welcome to Building a Marriage with Purpose. We have done our first project together.
That we have.
It was fun and interesting and sometimes frustrating because why would it not be frustrating to do something so time-consuming and detailed with someone else?
Kind of reminds me of marriage.
A little bit. So let me introduce ourselves. This is Matt.
Hello.
And I'm Misty Fitch, and we are not experts. We do not have all the answers, but we have learned so much along the way, and we just wanted to share it with you because we would love for you to experience what we've experienced. We weren't even trying to change our marriage, but it changed our marriage. So why did you want to get this guide out to people?
Just the way that it worked.
How do you mean?
For us. Well, I mean, it's hard to say. You know, you and I, we have always had a decent relationship. We loved each other, but our communication wasn't always the best. And so,
Really.
And so it's kind of like, you know, we're going through the book of John, and you know, something that you and I started a couple of years ago, but actually most recently really talked about is that we went through the book of John, and every night we would talk about what we read. And I noticed that our conversations got more in-depth. Our conversations became more real. And we were no longer two ships in a night passing. We were more fully engaged with each other. And I want that for other people. Because, I mean, if it worked for us, and again, it was one of these things where we didn't even know it was going to happen. It just happened. So, I just feel that, you know, our communication is a lot better. And with that being said, you know, it's just everything else has changed as far as, you know, just the way we communicate with each other, how we say things and how I receive things and vice versa. I just really think that this guide, this blueprint could help other people out. And I just want to be able to help people out build their marriages, not only just by communication, but also by building themselves foundationally with the Spirit and with the Word.
He said guide and then changed it to blueprint because that's what he wants to call it. But I didn't think people would pick up something that says blueprint. We knew it wasn't a book. It's not really curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
So we call it a guide, but really in his heart, it's a blueprint. Just to get you started on building a home, because he knows a little bit about building a home because that's what you do.
Yeah.
So if I were to answer the same question on why I wanted to get the guide out there, it was because, like you said, we started in John. We didn't even realize that we started, you guys, in the same book of the Bible that we started in. We didn't set out to do anything to fix our marriage. We didn't set out to do a 21-day program. We just said, let's start reading the book of John. And we started it with reading by ourselves and seeing, what are we getting from this? What do we feel like God is wanting us to receive as we read? And then we would talk about it together. And I got to watch my husband, who depended on me to be the spiritual leader of the family. And I wanted some leadership also, but he wasn't confident. He wasn't confident in reading or understanding. He wasn't confident in speaking up about what he got from it. Now, let me be completely transparent here. Part of the reason that he wasn't confident in that was because I would just kind of shut him down and say, no, that's not what it's about. This is what it's about.
Yeah.
Right? So I got to watch him change. I got to watch him become more confident as he read. And there were times that I didn't understand something and he understood it. There were times he didn't understand something and I understood it. And what we realized is, where I'm weak, he's strong. Where he's weak, I'm strong. But we had to let each other be strong. We had to let ourselves be weak. And a lot of times we don't do that. We want to be the strongest. We want to know all the answers. What happened is we became more vulnerable with each other. And our communication did change. And I got to watch him become the spiritual leader of our family. And together we get to lead our family spiritually. And it has made all the difference in the world. I now have the marriage that I prayed for, the marriage that I never thought that I would ever get. And it doesn't mean that we have a perfect marriage. We still have disagreements. We still respond and react, but it's not anything like it used to be. It's so different.
Yeah.
It has just, I know I overuse it. You're going to hear it a lot probably, but it very drastically changed our marriage and how we speak to each other. And we didn't even intend to do that. So if that can work for us, I know it can work for you. I know that God has something really special for you if you just stick with us. So having said that, we want to walk you through what this guide looks like, how to use it, because this is going to be important. Because if you just open up to week 1, you're going to go, what in the world? I don't know what this even means. Why is it there? Everything has a purpose. And so we want to kind of tell you what the purpose is, but he has to start it because he's the construction guy.
So building a house, or any build, actually is a lengthy process. And within that process, you're going to have certain milestones. We call them major milestones. So this is kind of laid out the same way. Each section is going to have its own milestone. And so your first milestone, selection and install. Selection and install is really one of the most exciting times because you're really getting started on your home. And the thing is, you're getting started on your home, but you're actually starting from the back end because you're wanting to see how the house is going to actually look. How's it going to feel? How's it going to flow? What color tile, what color wallpaper or paint, what's your exterior going to look like? So really it's just kind of a process of really getting in and just getting started on your project.
So you're going to see selection and install as the very first thing that happens at the beginning of every week. So for me, I don't love the building process. And I know because we built this house that we're in right now. I didn't love the building process. It took forever. But what I did love to see was when they put the color on the walls that we chose, and when they put the floor down that we chose. Every single thing that we chose in that showroom, we got to see it come to life. That was my favorite part. But we really started with that before. A lot of times you start with that before you even find a builder. You know what you want in your house. You know how many rooms. You know what you want the rooms to look like. Okay, see, look, now I'm going into making the house cute. So that's my favorite part. So at the beginning of the week, you're going to start with going to the showroom. There are going to be some pages that give you ideas for dates. You don't have to use them, but they're there for you if you can't think of a date, and it fits any budget. Some of them are staying home. Some of them are going out to do something extravagant. Whatever you do, try to do something different than what you normally do if you go out. So you're going to together choose, what does our date look like this week and what day are we going to take it? And really try to stick with it, because we want you to prioritize your relationship with the Lord, but we also want you to learn how to prioritize each other, because you did at one time. When you were dating, you prioritized that time. You made sure to make time to date one another. We want you to get back to that if you may have gotten away. If you haven't gotten away, then here are some new ideas that you can take. So you're going to pick that. You're going to take your date within those 7 days, because when you start your next week, you're going to do it all over again. Because we know also when you build a house, you have to go to the showroom a couple of times. We went to one for tile. We went to another for our countertops. We went to another for our brick and paint. So you're going to get different times to go do your selection and install.
Your next major milestone is going to be site work. And your site work is basically the time when the ground is being prepared, whether it be underground utilities, all the other undergrounds that take place. It's really a time when you're really just getting that pad to be secure and stable, because you are putting a foundation on top of this. You are putting everything on top of this pad. And so you want to make sure that your soil is right in order to prevent future cracking.
Which is interesting, because before doing this guide, I didn't know that there was such thing as site work. I don't know what I thought. I just thought you start with the foundation. But yes, you have to prepare the place for the foundation. And so every day when you start by yourself, you prepare your heart with prayer. You're going to go into prayer, and we've given you a prayer, but you can also add whatever words you feel led to add. We just wanted to give you something to go on. So everything in here is a suggestion just to help you get started. You can make this what you want, or you can just do exactly what it says verbatim. So the site work is preparing your heart through prayer.
The next one is actually, in my opinion, probably the most important one, and that's going to be your foundation. setting your foundation, getting your grade beams dug, getting your rebar placed, placing your concrete. I mean, the most important part of your build is going to be your foundation, because that's where your structure is resting upon. That's where your building is going to be sitting on. That's where you're going to put your framing on. And so it's important to have a strong foundation, because without your strong foundation, it's going to crack. There's going to be flaws. Mm-hmm. But a good, strong foundation actually helps disperse the weight of the building equally.
This whole guide is about strengthening the foundation of your marriage. The foundation of your own identity and the foundation of your marriage should be built on the Word of God. So this is going to be the section where you alone, by yourself, go and read the chapter for the day. So you're going to start with chapter 1, John chapter 1, and you go and read it by yourself. So what that looks like for us, what that looked like was he drove a long way to work.
Yeah.
And so he would listen to the Bible being read. He would listen to John 1.
Yep.
And then he would pray more about it. But then he came home and he also read what he had listened to. I just would sit outside or wherever, and I would read and highlight and do all the things.
Yep.
Talk to God about it. What's he telling you? A lot of times we read scripture looking for what it says about ourselves, or looking for answers on how to fix our marriage. Why does he act like this? And why can I not act like this? That is not in the Bible. The Bible is written from Genesis to Revelation, and it all points to Jesus. And once you find him, that's when those things start changing, because that's what happened to us.
That's exactly what happened to us.
We weren't trying to change each other or to change ourselves. We just wanted to find Jesus.
So the next section you're going to see in the guide is going to be framing. And framing, basically, in any build, is the backbone, the skeleton of your building. It's going to be the part that actually helps take shape of what your building is going to look like. Whether you're going to have a bay window, or you're going to have a recessed ceiling, vaulted ceilings, whatever, it's going to basically help take your shape.
One thing that I noticed also is, now I don't know anything about construction, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I have never seen framing happen by one person.
No, framing is definitely not done by one person.
It's a team sport.
It is a team sport, yes.
So this is where you finally get to come together. During the framing process, that's where we give you 5 discussion questions just to help. You come up with whatever questions you want, but we're trying to get you to think about what you've read. And this is where you talk about it together. So one of the things that I really am going to encourage you to do is don't look ahead. When you're by yourself, don't look ahead at those discussion questions, because you want it to be as natural as possible between the two of you.
Just to build on this a little bit more,
Yeah.
since we are talking about building a marriage, I like that we didn't necessarily have questions whenever we were going through it, but we asked each other those questions as we were going through it. And I agree with you. I think the responses were raw, the responses were natural, and they actually led to further conversation.
And sometimes we didn't know the answer, so we got to look it up together.
Yeah,
and so sometimes our conversations would last really long. And you know what? We stopped binge watching our shows because we spent time doing this instead.
I felt there was value added to spend time with you, opposed to watching the TV show.
It was
watch anytime.
It became my favorite part of the day. One of the things that we started with was just what was your take on it? And sometimes we had an answer for that, and sometimes we didn't.
Yeah.
So you can use these questions to help you dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah. Next on the guide is one of my favorite things, actually, is inspection. You know, when you're going during a build, you're going to have different types of inspections to ensure that the quality of work is done accurately. And so I enjoyed the inspection part of it, because I actually get to walk the job site and look at the things that are actually making the house or making this build function. So whether it be an electrical system or plumbing system, I get to see those and I can inspect it to ensure that's working properly.
So you see the good parts and the bad parts.
Yes.
It's like a report card, so to speak. Like, you did well here, but here we need to work on this.
Yes.
So in the guide, our inspection is an intimacy question. So this is to get you past the conversation of what kid has to be where on what day at what time this week, what bills are due, what are we making for dinner this week. It's going to get you past those types of surface questions, and it's going to dig deeper into some intimacy questions, things that you may have never talked to each other about before. Sometimes these are hard. Like, there were times that it brought out some stuff in us. We would get defensive about some things because we're talking about real feelings and real questions, but we learned about each other and we were able to make changes that were needed in the way that we communicate or in the things that we do. So we got to ask each other questions that would cause us to reflect on what we're doing well and what we need to do better. And it's up to us on, am I going to listen to him when he says this is something he needs from me, or am I going to just ignore it? So these are going to be questions that get you looking at where your strengths are, but where your weaknesses are also, so that you can address them and start working on them, because the inspection is important and it needs to happen regularly in your marriage.
The next step kind of actually coincides with inspection, but actually takes it a little bit further. The next step is going to be your final walkthrough. Your final walkthrough is an opportunity where you as the client get to go and walk with the builder to basically walk the site and to make sure that all the inspection items were hit. This is a time where you can go in and actually quote blue tape, is what they call it. Basically, any other minor imperfections, but also a chance to really see what the home or what the building has taken shape to be and just really see the functionality of the building. And so the final walkthrough it's one of the most exciting parts, because it really is, the project is almost done. You got a couple of minor things here and there, but the project is almost done. So you're almost at that finish line.
Man, we use so much blue tape. There was, I'm telling you, every place that there was no paint, somehow we still missed the fact that right over here where you cannot see, I'm telling you, we were here for 3 years before I realized nobody painted ever on that little square of the wall. You work with your builder to get everything in order before it's time to get the keys to your home. So like we just talked about, he said we keep that hidden over there, but we need to address it. We need to paint it so that it is not left undone after 3 years. So what that can also tell you is after 3 years, you might realize there's something that you never realized was an issue and it needs to be addressed. So in the final walkthrough, this is the time you and your spouse are going to pray together. You're going to pray about everything you just talked about. You're going to pray about what you just talked about with your intimacy question and all of the discussion questions that were regarding the chapter that you just read. And this is where, for us, it was kind of hard because it was uncomfortable because we didn't really pray in front of each other or over each other. We prayed quietly about each other, but we never really took the time to pray with each other. It was uncomfortable. And so we understand that can be uncomfortable for you, but our hope is that as you do this every day, it gets more comfortable. You don't have to say the perfect prayer. You don't have to have all the perfect words. It's okay. It's a part of the intimacy between the two of you growing. Like, prayer is intimate. It's intimate with your builder and creator, and it's intimate with each other. So in your final walkthrough, you have a prayer that we have written out, and you can also feel free to add whatever you want.
So guess what's next? What everyone's striving for, closing day. The builder's happy, the client's happy. Let's exchange the keys, let's make the final payments, or let's start the payments, I guess you could say.
Nobody's excited about that part.
No one's excited about that part except for the builder. But yeah, it's closing day. And so you walk through the house, everything is the way that it needs to be, everything's functional, everything is past inspection. You're now ready to move into your house, and then it's time to start making it your home.
I love it. So here's the thing. We always look forward to that closing day when we're building a house. I act like we've built a lot of houses together. We were so looking forward to closing day on this house. But here's the thing. That is not the end of the story. That's just the beginning. There's a special moment that we have given you for closing day that we really want you to do with purpose. And remind yourselves that this is not the end of strengthening the foundation of your marriage. This is just the beginning. We want you to keep going, because just like when you move into your home, there's maintenance, there's upkeep, there's pruning, and our yard right now looks so bad, but it's almost springtime. We can start getting the weeds taken care of, and we can plant new flowers and make it beautiful again. But sometimes winter and storms happen in your marriage. You've got to get out there and replant, and you've got to get out there and prune some dead branches. You can't just get married, have that beautiful wedding day, and not have any upkeep afterwards. So closing day is an exciting day, but it's also, that's kind of when life really hits, right? That's when you get in there and it's like, okay, we got bills to pay, we got chores to do. We can't just leave it and neglect it, or it's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
We want it to be livable for you.
Yeah.
So there you go. That is how the guide is laid out. We hope that you really do this with purpose. Every single day, make time to open up your Bible, and take time to spend together. So if you need to, go ahead and sit with your spouse and say, okay, this is what time every day we're going to sit together, and we're going to make it a point to talk about what we learned for the day. But you have to first make it a point to do this on your own somewhere else in the day. Are you ready to take this journey? I am so excited for you.
Yeah.
And we'll be back here next week to wrap up week 1. Bye, guys.